Hi, my name is Daryl Tuttle. In this video, I will go over the one thing that you need to know before you start any kind of estate plan, before you even pick up the phone to call a lawyer. And here it is. Step one, before you do anything, is to identify your personal money model. Now, money models, you might want to call them objectives. I choose money models because there's a little bit more to it than just identifying a goal, and it invokes a mental image. The three money models are estate transfer, number two, asset protection, number three, generational wealth building. Estate transfer, asset protection, generational wealth building. And a money model is a body of law, but it's the system and technique that we use to get clients to their objective when the objectives are different. You need to find out if you are an estate transfer person, like your goals align with that model, or asset protection. It's important because the legal documents required for each model are completely different. The provisions inside of the documents for each model are different. The goal is different. The value proposition of estate transfer, as bleak as it is simply this. I have assets. When I die, I want them to go to my people, right? That's estate transfer. And what I see too often is people have their heart set on what their neighbor told them, and so they go out and I have to have a living trust. Well, that's good, except that in some states, a living trust disqualifies those assets from funding an asset protection trust. So see how they compete against each other? Now, asset protection, the value proposition is more important. It is protecting your wealth during your lifetime against the known threats to wealth in America today, which are high unreimbursed medical care costs, unnecessary taxation, and family and financial mismanagement. And that's for another video, but that's it. Find out first and think about money models. Which are you? Estate transfer, because that's, you could use a living trust for estate transfer, sure. But most cases are asset protection. You cannot use a living trust for asset protection. So really what you're talking about is transfer on death deed if you're one of the 30 states that has it, or beneficiary designations, or a living trust, or other techniques that will not do anything to protect your wealth. If it's asset protection, especially if you're married and live in one of the 12 states with a state-specific death tax, or you understand the condition of human life is frail and long-term care costs are high, there are wonderful safeguards and exemptions in federal law which will protect your assets, but people don't know about it because they're fixating on simple estate transfer. Don't mean to be cynical about it, but if you get that wrong, the consequences can be pretty big. To show you what I mean, so I put in as a search term in Google, do living trusts protect your assets? And of course, you know what the answer is. There's just like pages and pages and pages. There's a lot of people making a lot of money on living trusts. But let's just pick one here. Okay, so this article, so that's from a law lawyer. Anything that's from a law firm about living trust, be very suspicious of it. And here's what I mean. So what are they saying? A living trust does not protect your assets from a lawsuit. That is absolutely true. There are 4 categories of asset protection. The 4th one is judgments and lawsuits, and that is basically offshore trusts, and the case law where they say asset protection works was the bankruptcy court put the guy in jail. Okay, he didn't reach the assets, but what good, we got one for the team. Our client's in prison. You gotta laugh. So what these guys are doing is they're trying to connect asset protection with probate avoidance, which it is, I have a lot to say about that. It's not true. That's the one thing that is borderline fraud. It's a misrepresentation to get business. But this one I saw Experian. That's the thing. A lot of sources of this myth about living trust come from financial services. And it's just like a blizzard of messaging. how living trusts can safeguard your assets, can see that that implies asset protection. Like a trust that can hold assets and a Medicaid look-back period does not apply. A transfer penalty does not apply. Spend down does not apply. That's the definition of asset protection, is repositioning wealth legally and ethically to render it unavailable to creditors, to a bulletproof silo so Medicaid cannot make it be spent down. Not only can a living trust, the IRS, Medicaid, and Department of Revenues don't even recognize a living trust as existing. Like, why isn't there a YouTube video about that? I'm just asking. And so what do they say here? They're saying, okay, so here's how it works. A revocable trust allows you to change it. Well, that's why it doesn't have asset protection, and the IRS just makes you report everything on your 1040. But then they make this point with an irrevocable, nothing can be changed after you sign it. Well, that's not true. If you live in a state of like Washington and some others with a particular statute, absolutely you can. That aside, all testamentary trusts, most trusts are irrevocable. That's why they have asset protection. The point, though, that they're trying to make without enough skill to get it correct is a living trust is a state transfer. An irrevocable trust is asset protection, two different documents, two different models, two different legal provisions, two different value propositions. The time horizon for asset protection is right now. Like, we're going to move quickly now to protect your assets against unnecessary tax, especially long-term care. Whereas estate transfer, man, you're going to be dead by the time that plan kicks in. So that's, I mean, just think about that. Think about messaging when you are tempted to kind of buy into the, like we saw how many YouTube videos there are, how many websites are there for financial services trying to get your financials so they can sell your product in connection with this idea that they know something about estate planning. Am I getting worked up about this? A little bit. And by way of what's in it for you, disclaimer, I'm retired, man. I take one or two cases a month, and from Washingtonians only. So I'm not trying to solicit business or anything. I'm trying to help you understand the way it really works. That's it. I'm retired. I'm in the Caribbean. I went on the boat today, and I'm tired, so I'm going to call it a day. Hope you're well, and think about that. Money models, estate transfer or asset protection.